Hello, this is Guru Brando, your host of Positively Entertaining Conversations, and we are with curious guest Beth. This is the wife. Hello, darling. Thank you for being here.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me.
Today we're talking about a hard subject, especially a tough subject for us. Communication. Well, I've been talking to Quentin Q. I've been talking to Q about passive-aggressive communication, how he talked, or how he still talks. And I want to talk about how we communicate, but the interesting thing is we reversed how we've been communicating for years. We actually went from you communicating passively, me communicating aggressively, to us communicating assertively.
Yes.
But we're working on it. We're not
we're not there
fully
yet.
there. But you today get to tell everybody there on how aggressive I used to be and what changes you kind of noticed. How did it affect you? You know, because I have OCD, lots of triggery anxiety. And so I had an aggressive way I communicated.
Yeah, I think that just for the most part, I was just on edge a lot. I didn't know what I could bring to you and what I couldn't, and any of these situations, I was equally volatile. So it was difficult to handle sometimes, and I'm glad that you've, taken those steps, to get the training that you got.
Yeah.
So that we could move ahead.
Part of my issue is, just like everybody has issues, when regardless of how you communicate, when you're triggered you feel a certain way, and so often passivity triggers me.
Yeah.
So we were triggering each other because you get triggered by really aggressive type people, especially aggressive men, and
and it would be, I think for the most part I wanted to be more of a passive person, because I knew that if I wasn't passive I was going to be hyper aggressive.
What made you believe you would be hyper aggressive?
Because I couldn't control my temper.
Did you
and
have
everything was setting me off. Everything was pissing me off.
So you were hyper triggery like me. We both have PTSD. I have severe depression and OCD, and you have PTSD with what?
Anxiety and depression.
Anxiety and depression. So we both have the same kind of thing going on, and we've been raising kids for a while. I think we both finally started communicating effectively like this past year. I mean, this past year.
Definitely.
And we've been married 18 years.
It's not like that we weren't communicating.
Years.
It's just that our
I
methods...
said effectively.
Yeah.
Communicating effectively. We had a lot of arguments. We still disagree.
Oh, yeah.
And we still get loud. Don't get it twisted. I'm country. So we do, but as far as being able to sit down and not be defensive, either one of us, I think we've gained a lot of maturity in that.
Yeah.
It would piss me off so bad, the I don't know. Just like every man and his wife. What do you want to eat, honey? I don't know. Whatever you want. No, it's a trap. It's always a trap. And we had that problem.
Well, I'm making the food now, so I know.
Yeah, you are. That's why I'm fat. But, that is the old adage that the woman is always passive and the man is always aggressive. However, that was not the case, because at the time you were living as a man and I was living as a woman. And that was the oddity in our relationship at that time. Because I was hot-headed and angry all the time. I was physical, not with you, but physical. I would punch a wall. But here you were, you would isolate and you would get quiet and you wouldn't say anything when you were upset. And it was very odd, because you then would take it somewhere else. You were a good deflector, taking it somewhere else.
I had my moments, of
What?
I've had my moments of hole in the wall punching and hole in the door punching.
Right.
And
And then you, though, got married, had kids, and you didn't have to be that aggressive. Things started to make sense.
this was, when we first got out, that was, where my mind was.
Well, but that wasn't the way you communicated. That was you being triggered in situations.
Well, that was a result of me not being able to communicate.
Right.
Properly.
There you go. It was about your passivity because you weren't actually talking. You were just bottling it up, and you were saying, no,
It's okay.
whatever I have to say, it's not important. And that in itself is what would make me criticize. It would make me, because it would trigger me. And being aggressive, I would come at you about it, and I would be like, would you just make up your mind? Just make up your mind. And then you would feel what? Whenever I would, lose it with you.
No, I would just come back with the same energy. It was a reaction.
And that's how you feel when you're backed into a corner sometimes. And thank God we've kind of worked through that. We've never been violent in our relationship.
Yeah. Well, not with each other.
We've
each been violent with a wall
now,
and a door.
I was in a relationship that was extremely violent. And because of that, I am always very careful that I don't expect that. And I did for a while when we first got together. I expected every time you touched me that you were going to hurt me.
Yeah, you still kind of had some latent issues.
What?
Latent issues.
Okay, well, I can barely hear you, so I hope that they can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Some latent issues from your previous relationship, which,
Right.
Was completely understandable.
Yeah. But it didn't excuse the fact that I didn't want to address it. And that's kind of where I'm going with this is I want to know from you, when did you realize that we had a communication issue that needed to be addressed?
I think it's, when the big D started getting juggled around.
Okay,
I think it
you
started
really
getting
go.
serious. When we both had our moments with debating whether or not we were going to get a divorce.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, we never debated whether we were going to get a divorce. We debated whether or not we wanted to get a divorce. And there's a big difference between wanting to get a divorce and saying we're getting a divorce.
Yeah.
We were just smart enough to communicate with each other that that's how we were feeling.
I think that was, a big point for me because, it got to the point where I was finding the logic in divorce. And that scared me because...
and I was in the same place.
There's not a lot more that I hold higher than my family.
Yeah. And I was exactly in the same place too. And the problem is we were each secretly in that place and we weren't communicating at all. And it was only when kind of the poop floated, so to speak. And we realized that if we didn't do something now, that one of us was going to fail. And at the time, it just happened to be me. Because that's who crashed first. When I was finally able to tell you with assertive communication how I felt, the first thing you came at me with was, you're crazy, you're delusional, you need to listen better in therapy, and all of these type comments, because the things that I was saying did not make sense to you.
Yeah, it didn't. It totally didn't.
Because it was such a drastic change from who I was. Now, if I had shared each and every step of the process, don't you think you probably would have seen it a little better? But I didn't even know I had depression. So I didn't even know I was crashing,
Denial is one of your gifts.
Yeah, it is. Denial is one of my gifts. But not so much anymore.
Yes.
Because now, one of the main things that we're doing when we are having a discussion about anything, mostly about the kids, that I think is the only time that we get pretty serious, is when we're talking about the kids or finances. So when we're talking about the kids and we say, okay, this is what this one's doing, this is what that one's doing. If I say to you, why? Why is this kid doing this right now? What's going on with this kid? How does that feel to you? If I say it just like that.
It's kind of like I feel like you're demanding answers from me, like immediately. You know, why are you allowing this? You know, you're the parent in the situation. What's going on and why is this happening? Why? And your fault.
What makes it the most aggressive? Is it tone? Is it?
Most of the time, it's tone. It's totally tone because it's tone and energy. You know, it really feels like I'm being pushed down, and that's the point in which I start to react.
So let's talk about the unique situation that we're in about that tone thing, because I didn't always sound like this. I sounded pretty feminine. I mean, I would say, granted, I was an alto in choir, but I sounded really girly. And as my voice started to shift, you started to react more triggered. Especially whenever I would say things like, did you? Or are they? If I would ask questions for a responsible answer, you would be triggered. And it was about the tone. And I've had to learn that I have to soften it sometimes, especially if I'm in coach mode. If I've been coaching all day and I'm like, this is how you need to do this in respect to this aspect, I'm going to come at you about it too. I'm going to be like, okay, it's the same way when you would come home after being in the nerdery all day and you would come home with all the nerd content. It sort of feels the same for me. And so I have to be mindful. Okay, turn the volume down and chill. And that's good because that's you grounding me. Because you demand something different than what I offer. It's grounding.
That works both ways because, where I'm running around in La La Land with my creative whatever, you also keep me, close to earth. With, certain responsibilities I need to make sure that I'm focusing on.
Yeah, motivate.
Not just, whatever butterflies.
It's hard, though, I have to admit, it's hard to motivate and encourage. I've always been a natural-born motivator, but I've not always been a natural-born encourager. And what changed that was having the kids. Hands down, having the kids changed absolutely everything. Not actually the physical part of it. That was a nightmare. But once we got through all that, recognizing in our kids that they communicate better than we do.
Yeah, they're direct.
It's just, okay, granted, 2 of them are on the spectrum. Okay, so we got lucky, I say, because...
Okay, so Bubby is very direct.
Bubby is very direct. Scary direct is what I used to call it, scary direct. But, even Alex is very direct, and Lucas, and help us all, Oliver. I believe, though, that going into adulthood, it's going to be a difficult process for them if they engage with people outside of our community. Because our community is really accepting of kind of diverse language. Quentin and I talked about being politically correct a lot. Him being a little too direct. Well,
where's the line?
And that is a big deal. Where's the line? And you have to define it in your own family. And people don't realize that. You can define it yourself individually, but you also have to look at the whole of the family and each individual personality. I never would have called anyone on the autism spectrum, an Aspie kid. I wouldn't have. That's what Quentin identifies with, you know, and so it's just one of those silly situations, I think.
Yeah, I felt weird about it the first time I heard him say it, and I was like, "Who am I?" You know?
But it's kind of like you used to get super offended because the kids would say things like "fat." You couldn't stand it when they directly would ask me, "Why are you fat?"
Yeah,
and it never bothered me.
It's just the way it sounded. I thought it sounded rude.
Well, you probably thought it sounded rude because you may have gotten chewed out for that. I think the word tacky sounds rude because, oh, God save the Queen, my grandmother, who would go and get her hair done up every week, came home one time after getting her hair done up and took her little scarf off and said, "Oh, my hair looks so tacky, doesn't it?" I thought she meant sticky, and it did. It looked sticky. It looked like cotton candy. So I said, "Yes, Granny, it looks so tacky." She gave me devil eyes. That was the only time I saw that Christian woman give devil eyes. And she said, "That's the rudest thing anyone has ever said to me." I was crushed.
Would you ask?
I was crushed. Well, you know, that's one of those things. Why ask if you don't really want to know? And we had
Especially
that.
if there's a kid around.
Yeah.
Don't ask a kid that.
Yeah, and we had a problem doing that for a while because our parents did that to us. So, you know, we would ask our kids, you know, questions that we knew they were going to answer wrong. I got to get a drink. Have cotton mouth all the time.
I sort of expect the kids to give us the David Spade answer of everything, like, "Does this make me look fat?" "No, your face does."
Yeah. Up your butt's a big one with us. Where is this? Is it up your butt?
Did
And
you
I
check your
know.
butt?
Yeah, did you check your butt? I know that one day they are going to say that to a teacher. So all of the Highland teachers, I apologize up front. It started out as a hilarious joke. At least we thought it was.
Boats and Hose was a hilarious joke.
Oh, Boats and Hose. Yes. Yes, that was a good one too. Because Oliver is an adorable child that likes to throw tantrums. And it used to be really bad before he had ABA therapy. And he likes fruit and whipped cream and like cottage cheese salad. And so we would always go to, what's that place called? That buffet place. Their favorite place in the world.
Oh,
with the fountain, that really...
Golden Corral.
Golden Corral, my kid's favorite place in the whole wide world. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about that. So, he would demand to have some of the cottage cheese salad. And if they were out, it was an ordeal. So in order to make light of the situation, I did something foolish, which was tell him that the name of that, when he asked me, was Boats and Hose.
So where did that come from?
Because we thought it would be hilarious, since it was hilarious on Step Brothers, that if he got frustrated, he would yell that he wanted Boats and Hose, as opposed to, "I want cottage cheese salad." Turned out to be not so funny. Anyway, so that's another one of those things, you know, assertive communication, sometimes good, sometimes bad. He totally clearly understood what I was telling him, and he utilized it. And yeah, so I'm a little bit scarred now, just thinking about Golden Corral. Yeah, we're not. Anyway, okay, so where were we? What were we talking about? Are we done?
I don't know. Are we?
Did we have a good conversation?
I think so. I'm trying to remember where we were before it was going, because I interjected that, and
Yeah, well, that's okay. It's just a conversation. We derail all the time. If anybody knows where we are and we need to go back to it, just put that in the comments and we'll address that at some point. You'll see that we do that a lot around here, but not usually with Alex. She's on point all the time.
I think it was the up your butt.
Oh, yeah, the up your butt.
Check up your butt.
A lot of stuff comes from the office, too. We have a lot of office communication around here.
I think a lot of the times is because before the kids will take a second to look for something, they'll ask us where it is.
Yeah, and we have Alexa in the kitchen, and we have Google in every single room. Plus, they all have devices, and they will still come in and ask us what time it is.
Infinite
Plus, we have
knowledge.
clocks.
Surrounded by infinite knowledge.
It's like, holy cow, we're really doing this right now. I'll stop doing what I'm doing to look at my cell phone because I'm a fool. That's why I do it. It's instinct. So yeah, we're going to cut that crap out. So at some point we have communicated with each other enough to say we need to communicate better with the kids. And because the kids have to learn to communicate better. And then we can be all one big, happy, COVID-free family.
And I guess that's where it really matters, though, because...
You guys speak up.
I said, I guess that's where it really matters, because, after we're gone, who's left? They are.
Wow. Jeez Louise. Sunrise, sunset right there. Yikes. Well, thank you for coming in here, in my space.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah. And we're going to have you next time, I think, too. Because next time I want to do a Q&A with you. Because people have questions.
Okay.
All kinds of questions. And so...
I'll answer questions.
So we want to answer questions next time. Because I just proved to y'all that we can effectively communicate. And so y'all effectively communicate with us. Let us know what kind of unique struggles y'all have. And in addition, let us know what you want to know more about. We're open books here, so I guess subscribe to my channel, like my stuff, and share, because, I got to get out there, guys. Thank you, and we'll see you on... This is Thursday. Oh, my God, it's pizza night. It's pizza night.
You never know who it might help.
Yes. You never know who it might help. So please, that's really all I want to do is help as many people as I can. Whether it's just with some flexible thinking or whether it's motivation and encouragement. Any of that. I am a certified professional life coach as well as a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. So please just like, share, do all that good stuff. And we'll see you Tuesday. I got it right this time, by the way. I practiced it. I did. I should have recorded that. And thank you.